review. Hooray for you. What we are going to be doing, or what I'm going to be doing, is just going through each of these problems from our review once more, and not only setting up the problems, but solving the problems. So basically, we're just going to be reviewing what we did today in class. I know Wednesdays go quickly, so I know that we zip through these problems pretty quickly. So for those of you that need just to see these one more time and to talk about them one more time, this one is for you. I'm trying to make my smiley face not look so scary. That looks a little better. Okay, so when we read a problem, we want to visualize it. We want to fully understand what's going on in the problem before we just start solving it. So here, let's read this again. Cookie Monster and Grover have entered a blueberry picking contest at the Blue Monster Festival. Grover picked 4 2/3 pounds of blueberries. Cookie Monster picked 6 1/3 pounds, but 2.25 pounds, or 2 25/100ths of pounds, were squished because of his big hands and were disqualified. How many blueberries did Cookie Monster pick? Who picked more blueberries? And how much more did he pick? So I hope you guys by this time are like really kind of imagining that happening in your head. That's going to help us understand this problem much more thoroughly and clearly. So let's go ahead and think about how we can organize the information that we've been given. So Grover, why isn't my pen working? Grover has picked 4 2/3 of a cup of blueberries. Cookie Monster has picked 6 1/3 of a cup of blueberries. However, his big hands squished 2.25 cups of those blueberries. Okay, so we need to figure out how many blueberries was Cookie Monster able to walk away with, or how many pounds of blueberries was he able to enter into the contest, because these were squished, so he was left with whatever he had when we subtracted 2.25 from 6 1/3. So when we're looking to convert a decimal into a fraction, we can do it in a few different ways, but I think the best way that we can use right now is just to put that decimal on the place value chart and just draw a quick place value chart. It does not have to be anything fancy. So 2.25 on the place value chart, and just say it out loud. Okay, so this is 2 25/100ths. 2 25/100ths. Okay? You guys know how to say decimals. 2 25/100ths is the same exact number as 2.25. They're just in 2 different forms. Moreover, let's go ahead and simplify 2 25/100ths so that we have a little bit more of a friendly fraction. Because personally, I think 25/100 is a little bit too complicated, even though I know you guys can probably handle it. So now we're going to simplify 25/100. We're going to think about the largest number that we can find that will divide evenly into 25 and 100. We worked on this today in class, so you guys know that the largest number that we can divide into 25 and into 100 is 25. So we're going to divide the upstairs by 25, and we're going to divide the downstairs by 25. You guys know that we have to use the same number upstairs and downstairs, because otherwise the numerators and denominators will get into a huge fight, and it's uncomfortable for all of us. Okay, so now let's simplify. So we're simplifying 25/100. We're going to divide the upstairs and the downstairs, the numerator and the denominator, by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So a simplified version of 2 25/100ths is 2 1/4. The decimal version of 2 1/4 is 2.25. These all represent the same amounts, okay? Did we have to transfer 2 25/100ths into 2 1/4? No. But I just personally think that 2 1/4 is a little bit easier to deal with than 2 25/100 was. Okay, so now we can rewrite our expression. Now we're going to be looking for, come on, Ben, 6 1/3 minus 2 1/4. You guys are probably realizing, thinking, oh, they don't have the same denominator. We need to transfer those fractions into fractions that have common denominators or the same denominator. We can do that very quickly. I'm just rewriting the expression down here. We can do that very quickly by just multiplying the denominators together. 3 times 4 is 12. So our common denominator is going to be 12. So I'm rewriting my expression, I'm bringing down my whole numbers, and I'm rewriting my fraction so that my denominator is 12. And now we have to think about what our numerators will transform into. We'll ask ourselves, 3 times what number is 12? Well, 3 times 4 is 12. So if we multiply 3 by 4, we have to multiply 1 by 4. And you guys know that 1 times 4 is 4. Over here, we have to ask ourselves, 4 times what number is 12? Well, 4 times 3 is 12. If we're going to multiply 4 by 3, we have to multiply 1 by 3. And you guys know 1 times 3 is 3. And now we can just subtract. Subtract your whole numbers first. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 twelfths minus 3 twelfths is 1/12. So, Cookie Monster ended up with 4 1/2 cups of blueberries. 4 1/2 cups of blueberries. Okay, so that's our first question answered. Okay, cool. I would absolutely make sure that you are answering every question that is asked of you within the problems. Now we need to take a look at this. Who picked more blueberries? Okay, so Cookie Monster picked 4 1/2 cups. And Grover picked 4 2/3 cups. So you guys, by this point, understand that 4 2/3 is more than 4 1/2. So who picked more blueberries? Grover picked more blueberries. How much more did he pick? Okay, so Grover picked more blueberries. In order to figure out, okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear this because I'm running out of room. If you guys need to see that work again, you'll just have to rewind the video. I'm going to clear that. So we're just looking at this final piece. How much more did he pick? We know that Grover picked more blueberries. So we're going to do Grover minus Cookie Monster to find out how much more blueberries Grover picked than Cookie Monster. So if Grover picked 4 2/3 cups of blueberries, and Cookie Monster picked 4 1/12 cup of blueberries. Is that what we got? 4 1/12. I think so. 4 1/12. Okay. We need to figure out how much more blueberries did Grover pick than Cookie Monster. Common denominator between these two numbers. Yes, we can absolutely multiply 3 by 12 and get 36. Another way we can find a common denominator is to do skip counting and see what those two numbers have in common. So let's do the skip counting method. So we'll do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so that's my skip counting by 3s. Now let's skip count by 12s. 12. Oh, look. 3 and 12 have a common denominator of 12. I love that because that means we don't have to do any work to 4 1/12 because the denominator for 4 1/12 is already 12. So we're only going to have to do work to our thirds. Okay, so we're going to bring our whole number down. We're going to rewrite our fraction as a fraction that has a denominator of 12. We're going to think, 3 times what number is 12? Well, you guys know 3 times 4 is 12. If we're going to multiply 3 by 4, we have to multiply 2 by 4. 2 by 4 is 8. So let's just go ahead and do our subtraction here. Do whole numbers first. 4 minus 4 is nothing, or 0. Why is my pen working? And then we're going to do 8/12 minus 1/12 is 7/12. So Grover picked 7/12 of a cup more than Cookie Monster. So blue raspberry Kool-Aid question. Okay, so let's read the question and let's visualize what this looks like. So after the contest, Cookie Monster was really thirsty. He bought 9.5 gallons of blue raspberry Kool-Aid. He drank 3 2/3 of a gallon himself and shared 2 3/4 gallons with Grover. How much Kool-Aid does he have left over to share with Rosita? Include a tape diagram as a part of your answer. Okay, so tape diagrams are a super handy way to organize information visually. So we're going to draw a rectangle. Our rectangle, the full rectangle, represents the whole. So this whole rectangle represents the full amount that Cookie Monster bought. So Cookie Monster bought 9 1/2 gallons of blue raspberry Kool-Aid. And then a couple of things happened to that whole amount of Kool-Aid. So a couple of things happened, and keep in mind this tape diagram is not proportional. So first, he drank 3 2/3 of a gallon. So he drank 3 2/3 of a gallon, and then he shared 2 3/4 of a gallon with Grover. That was so nice of him. And we want to know how much is left over. Okay, so we had 9.5 gallons. He drank 3 2/3 of a gallon, and then he shared 2 3/4 of a gallon. He had some left. We want to know how much did he have left. So this is going to be a couple of steps here. First, we need to figure out this missing part. We want to figure out the amount that he drank combined with the amount that he shared with Grover, because these two portions were taken away from our whole. Okay, so let's figure out what 3 2/3 plus 2 3/4 is, because that amount is going to give us a very, very handy bit of information. You guys are probably already thinking, well, here we go again. We do not have common denominators. We need to convert those fractions into fractions with common denominators, thus making them equivalent fractions. And I think a few of you have already buzzed through and thought, well, 3 times 4 is 12. We'll use 12 as our common denominator. Yay, you. So 3 times 4 is 12. So we multiplied 3 by 4 to get 12. Now we have to do 2 times 4, which is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. So now we have to multiply 3 by 3 to find that common denominator. Okay. So a lot of what we are practicing in our celebration of learning, or a lot of what you're demonstrating, is the fact that you know at this point how to find a common denominator. So now we have 2 fractions, 2 mixed numbers with common denominators, and we can just go ahead and add those together. Do your whole numbers first. 3 plus 2 is 5, and then 8 plus 9, or 8/12 plus 9/12, 17/12. So this is the amount. 5 17/12 represents the amount that we're going to take away from 9.5. 5 17/12 represents the amount that Cookie Monster drank and the amount that he shared. 5 17/12 is a mixed number with an improper fraction. The upstairs is larger than the downstairs. So we can simplify this. I know you guys know how to do this. So let's go ahead and decompose this and rename this to make it a little bit more simple of a fraction. So 5 17/12 is equal to 5 plus 12 twelfths plus 5 twelfths. Do you guys see how we did that? We decomposed 17/12 into 12 twelfths and 5 twelfths. we just, oops, sorry, I was trying to circle that. We decompose 17 twelfths into 12 twelfths and 5 twelfths. 12 twelfths plus 5 twelfths is 17 twelfths. What we're trying to do is make this a kind of a nicer looking fraction because it's improper. And you know, I think we can do better than that. 12 twelfths, as you guys know, is just a fancy way for saying whole number 1. Thank you very much. 12 twelfths is just a fancy way of saying whole number 1. 5 plus 12 twelfths, or 5 plus whole number 1, is 6. So we can rename this fraction as 6 and 5 twelfths. This is a simplified version of 5 and 17 twelfths. 5 and 17 twelfths and 6 and 5 twelfths represent the same amount, but this is kind of just a neater version of that fraction. We decomposed and we renamed it. Okay. So 6 and 5 twelfths represents this chunk of our tape diagram. We need to find out our question mark. We know the whole is equal to 9.5. The whole rectangle is equal to 9.5. We know this chunk is equal to 6 and 5 twelfths. If we subtract 9 and 1/2, if we subtract 6 and 5 twelfths from 9.5, we are going to understand what our question mark what is represented by our question mark. So let's think about a common denominator. Of course, these do not have the same denominator. Let's think about a common denominator between these two numbers. I'm going to use skip counting over here to find my common denominator. Yes, we can multiply 2 by 12 to get a common denominator, but I'm going to skip count and find a common number between 2 and 12. So I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, interesting. And now when I skip count by 12, I see that 2 and 12 share a common denominator of 12. Okay, sweet. We like that because 6 and 5 twelfths already has a denominator of 12, so we don't have to do anything to that. We just have to convert 9 and 1/2 to a mixed number with a denominator of 12. Okay, so 2 times what number is 12? Well, I know 2 times 6 is 12. So if we multiply 2 by 6, we know we have to multiply 1 by 6. 1 times 6 is 6. If you didn't immediately realize that 2 times 6 is 12, you can use your skip counting over here and count how many 2's make up 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2's make up 12. Okay? So now we can just go ahead and do the good work. We're going to subtract 9 minus 6 first is 3. Then 6 twelfths minus 5 twelfths, 1 12th. So this question mark is equal to 3 and 1 12th. Cool? Lots and lots of work. Feel free to pause, rewind, whatever you need to do to make sense of this problem. You guys have the tools to be successful. The cotton candy color for this next one. This is Rosita and her very unhealthy day of eating. Rosita is excited to have more, oh, it's blue, sorry, is excited to have more blue cotton candy at the River Monster Festival. This morning she had 2 and 3 cups. That's 1 serving of cotton candy for breakfast. This afternoon, she decided she must have 3 more servings of this delicious treat. How much cotton candy will she eat at the festival altogether? Explain your answer using words, pictures, or equations. Okay, so here's the deal. We are going to make sense of this problem. Here is Rosita's breakfast. Her breakfast consisted of 2 and 3/8 of a cup of cotton candy. Wow. And then she went totally bonkers in the afternoon and ate how many more servings of cotton candy? That's right. She ate 3 more servings of cotton candy. Within each serving, there are 2 and 3/8 of a cup of cotton candy. So over the course of the entire day, she ate 1, 2, 3, 4 servings of cotton candy. Within each serving, we find 2 3/8 of a cup of cotton candy. We need to figure out how much cotton candy will she eat all day. So very simply, we just need to add up all of those 4 servings. Again, within each serving is 2 3/8 of a cup. So I have 2 plus 3/8, 2 plus 3/8 plus 2 plus 3/8 plus 2 plus 2 3/8. Sorry that I'm saying 2 plus 3/8. We can do this in our head. What are 4 2s? 8. What about 4 copies of 3/8? Well, that's 12/8. This is a completely acceptable answer. 8 12/8 of a cup of cotton candy. But you guys recognize that this is an improper fraction. Let's go ahead and decompose 12/8 into 8/8 and 4/8. We can add 8/8 and 4/8 to get 12/8. That's what decomposing means, breaking into smaller bits. You guys know 8/8 is just a fancy way for saying whole number 1. So let's not use 8 and 12/8 as our final answer. Let's use 8 plus 1 plus 4/8. Or 9 and 4/8 is our final answer. Or we can even simplify 4/8. I'm sorry, we can even simplify 9 and 4/8 as 9 and 1/2. This answer and this answer and this answer before I crossed it out all represent the same amount. They're all acceptable. But this 9 and 1/2 or 9 and 4/8 represent a simplified version. So those are really, really nice versions to work with. Okay, kiddos, let's look at this final problem again. I know you guys have done it already, but we're just wanting to make sure that this is crystal clear. Okay, so Harry Monster ran the Blue Monster 5K race in 14 minutes and 2/3 of a second. Rosita came in second place 3 1/6 of a minute after Harry. Monsters who have a time faster than 18 minutes earn a blue ribbon. What was Rosita's time, and will she earn a ribbon? We are going to think about how we can organize the information that we're given. Harry, Monster, first place. Woohoo! Rosita, second place. Woohoo! You guys know, just in your background knowledge of life, that when someone comes in first place, it means that their time was the shortest. So he finished in first place with 14 and 2/3 of a minute. Rosita came in 3 1/6 minutes after he did. Rosita came in 3 1/6 minutes after he did. When did he come in? When did Harry Monster come in? Well, he came in at 14 2/3 of a minute. So Rosita, her total time is going to be 14 2/3 plus 3 1/6. Let's figure out what that sum is. So 14 2/3 plus 3 1/6. Let's use skip counting to find our common denominator. Ooh, that's exciting. 3, 6. Now we're looking at 3 and 6, and we're looking at 6, and we find, bingo, 6 is a common denominator between 3 and 6. The beauty of this is that we do not have to rewrite 3 and 1/6. The denominator is already 6. We can go ahead and transfer 14 and 2/3 into an equivalent fraction. This fraction is going to have a denominator of 6. What do we multiply 3 by to make it 6? Well, we multiply 3 by 2 to make it 6. So if we multiply 3 by 2, we have to multiply 2 by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now we have two mixed numbers with common denominators. We can just go ahead and add those up. Add your whole numbers first. 14 plus 3 is 17. 4 6 plus 1 6, 5 6. So Rosita's time is 17 and 5/6 of a minute. Go back here. Monsters who have a time faster than 18 minutes earn a blue ribbon. Is 17 and 5/6 of a minute faster than 18 minutes? Yes, so she will earn a ribbon. Go over any of these as many times as you need to. Know that I think you guys are brilliant, and I'm excited for you to celebrate all of your amazing learning tomorrow, and I'll see you then.